Hello everybody and welcome back to Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. We're headed into Reflection Part 2, the Monika and Yuri story. But before we get into that, if you find yourself enjoying the video at any point, please leave a like down below. Comment what you thought of the video and who your favorite Doki is, or just say hey, love to chat with you, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell to be notified when a new video comes out. Really helps us out and we appreciate you a lot. With all that being said, let's head into Reflection Part 2. A new day arrives. Story arrives at the club room earlier than usual. That is, not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still. So she sits down at a desk and pulls out a sheet of paper, primed to jot down her thoughts. Sarah has made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as her best inspiration for poetry. My heart feels vacant because the ship sailed away. Yo. Yeah! Natsuki! Natsuki pokes her head out from behind the closet door. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you, but it would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything. I doubt you want me listening in on your poetry thing. Yeah. Thanks for realizing that. Should I let you finish that up then? Oh no, it wasn't. I mean, I just do it whenever it's convenient. You're not interrupting. Where's Monika, by the way? Oh, she's out in the hallway, huh? Why? Well, just in case she runs into Yuri. Sometimes Yuri's teenagers come to the club room by herself, so... Oh. Geez, Yuri really let things bother her for that long? She can't control her feelings. For some people, it's really hard to cope when you get a bad thought in your head. Maybe you can distract yourself for a little while, but as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back. I just want us to have a normal club meeting. It's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we all just ignore it and move on. I don't want to be bothered by this. I forgot to mute my phone. Just... boop. It's so stupid of her opinion of me. Sorry, it's so stupid. Her opinion of me doesn't matter anyway. Besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that too. It's okay to have feelings. It doesn't make you weak. Let's figure this out together. Fine. Only because you're good at this stuff. Let's try to come up with a happy scene. Maybe that will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from. Well, I was happy the way things were before we had to have that conversation yesterday. What part of the conversation made you upset? Was it Yuri being mean about the manga? Maybe. I doubt it, though. It's because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time, but I just brushed it off and ignore them. Something about it really got to me this time, and I hate that I'm letting that happen. It's because it came from Yuri? No, why would that matter? I mean, well, maybe. I hate that she thinks she's so much better than me just because she likes to pretend to be all sophisticated. Yeah, that's what it is. At least other people decide that they don't like me or manga or whatever. But Yuri actually, she's too good to even give it a chance. I'm sorry. Everyone deserves a chance. Yeah, exactly. Would you give Yuri's books a chance? Ha, after this, obviously not. But what about before this? Well, I would until I got bored, which wouldn't take very long. But if you actually keep an open mind, it's not hard to realize that a story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated. I see. But you know, I like Yuri's books. Yeah, but you like manga more, right? Shuri shakes her head. I like them both. I like them in different ways, but I like them both. I mean, the manga, it's really honest and fun and easy to just let go with. And the fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover, and it's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it. But the most important thing is that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves. So, I love them both. And I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together. And I just feel like maybe they have more in common than you would think. How do you get along with everyone so well as she makes it her life mission to hide from depression? I always get into fights with people. Like first it was with Monika when I was new to the club, then it was with you, and now it's Yuri. I'm always like, oh, that person's being such a jerk, and if they just realized that, then we could at least get along. But nobody else has this problem. I just keep running away from the reality that everybody's just a jerk to me because nobody likes me. And I don't know why, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hate it. Natsuki. Yuri puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulder. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else. Everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know? And sometimes it makes it harder for us to understand each other. I think that sometimes we get lucky and we make friends who are really good at the same kinds of communication, and it feels like you magically connect with them. But other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easier for them to misunderstand each other or get the communication wrong. It's something that Yuri struggles a lot with too. It can be really hard. It takes a lot of reflection and self-awareness and vulnerability. I'm bad at that one. Vulnerability. I always have to be the strongest. What do you mean? Tell me about that part of you. Well, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me. Like my friends, and I guess my dad. Like when I don't get good grades or even stupid things like if my room isn't clean. So what am I going to do? Cry about it? If I let myself get upset, then it's just letting them win. I'm better than that. I'm better than all of them. So things always have to be everyone else's fault. Feels like if something goes wrong and there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault, then I just get really angry and I find ways to blame everything else instead. Do you see yourself as better than Yuri? If I said that, then I would sound really full of myself. No. Our thoughts and our feelings are two different things. Even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about ourselves. That's a part of vulnerability, you know, accepting that we have feelings that we don't like. I hate that. My feelings make me a bad person, because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her. She's a judgmental know-it-all who's stuck in her edgy phase, and I'm just way above that garbage. But I'm terrible for feeling that way. You're not terrible. You are not your feelings. But you are not your feelings. Listen to Sayori. She knows what she's talking about. Say that to yourself, out loud. Fine. I am not my feelings. The way that I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate. You live in the same house, and you gotta see each other every day. And even if you can ignore each other most of the time, you're gonna run into each other every now and then, and it's gonna make you feel like poop. So the other option is to get to know each other. You can communicate and learn from each other, and maybe even help each other change for the better. Does that help you understand? No. How do you know so much about this stuff? You don't want to know. Just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with, called depression. Depression? But you're like the happiest person I know. I am not my feelings. Ooh, I'm tearing up right now. I want to be a good person like you. Aw, you little sweetheart. We're all good people. You, and Yuri, and Monika. I think Yuri will eventually learn that about you. Natsuki remains silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seems to fill her, as though flowing from a wound inside her. Was it a result of her vulnerability? No. It wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound, one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. But isn't this supposed to be about Monika and Yuri? Yuri, what are you doing all the way over here? I was looking for you. Oh, that face. Please don't yell at me. I'm not going to yell at you. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. It's unfair for me to put everyone on the spot like that. Next time I won't just try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's a bad habit of mine. You're not mad at me? I thought you were the one mad at me. I was so awful yesterday. Yuri curls up, recalling the details of the argument. I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and making everyone upset. Hold on, that's not what happened at all. Let's talk about this, okay? Yuri pauses for a second and manages a nod. Monika takes a seat next to her on the staircase. I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns, and I can't get away from them. What kind of negative thought patterns? Like everyone hates me, especially Natsuki. Oh, that's terrible. I don't think Natsuki hates you. How do you know? Well, because. Monika thinks back to the time that she found herself in an altercation with Natsuki, and how a display of maturity from Monika was enough for Natsuki to reevaluate her own feelings as well. I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive. I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself. But you know, she's really not a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate. She just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness before she feels comfortable returning it. Oh. But that means the burden is on me, and I don't know how to say things that make people like me. Every time I open my mouth, Yuri shakes her head and at herself and tugs on her hair. It's okay, Yuri. You don't need to beat yourself up. I think anyone would like you if they had the chance to get to know you. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true. That's why I'm not talkative anymore in the first place, because everyone used to think I was weird and talk about me behind my back. Excuse me, that's just what happens when I draw attention to myself. Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their mind, so I did, and then she hated me anyway. That was enough to confirm my fears. But Sayori and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right? Yuri doesn't seem to have a response. Happy music fades out. Hey, what do you think of Natsuki? I don't think about her. That's not what I meant, really. I just, I was just wondering if you had an opinion of her. I do. What is it? Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it. I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person, so for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior despite my taste, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her. And it makes me think bad things about her. But everyone else seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again, and my feelings about her are wrong. And I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential. No, Yuri. Feelings are never wrong. Well, they're not right. That's the thing. Feelings are never right or wrong, you know? They're just a state of being that we don't always have control over. But that doesn't mean they have to control us. I feel like that's something I learned around when I first started the club. We can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about things. Or we can, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better. I could never be mad at you for just feeling a certain way. It's about how you handle them. I think working through feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork. Yuri wears a dejected expression. You make it sound so easy. You're so mature. And so good with people. I feel like such a child in comparison. Oh, Yuri. I'm far from perfect. But these are learned skills. They don't come naturally to me. They didn't come naturally to me. It's really hard to, reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts. I just want to be a good person. There's a little smile. Well, I think it takes a good person to get this far. That's not good enough. I want to be able to communicate it to her. Communicate what? How I feel. How it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she's so negative and dismissive of the things that mean so much to me. And how it reminds me of me. Because I know what it's like to feel misunderstood and angry at everyone. I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone else is just a defense mechanism. We're just people. We're fragile and unstable. But I'm just tired of that getting in the way. I can't stand it when the peace is disturbed like this. Yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the peace is disturbed, right? Because the literature club should be happy for everyone. Monika looks at Yuri in adoration. I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me because I really want to hug you now. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. No, I mean, well, if you wanted to, then I wouldn't really mind. So Monika pulls Yuri into a short embrace. You're so gentle. And I love when you communicate your feelings. I feel lucky to get to see that side of you. And I'm sure Natsuki will too. I'm going to write her a letter. Oh, a letter! What a great idea. Just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure. I always let my feelings get the best of me and I forget to say all the important things and I say things I don't mean. Well, I think a letter would be wonderful. Such a nice way to communicate. Yuri's face hardens with determination. People don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do for you and Sayori. My personality isn't suited for that, and I wouldn't want it to be. But something I've learned is that friendships don't always just magically appear out of thin air. For instance, I never would have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori. We're opposites in a lot of ways. But I'm friends with her because she put so much effort in understanding me so that we can get along. I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience, and I wonder if she feels the same way. Natsuki? Yuri nods. I always thought that if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not. That there's a type of person or a magical formula I have to follow in order to make someone like me. And that's just like me to think that. Always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people. Yuri shakes her head. Friendship happens when you think about the other person. When you offer time and effort to understand them and respect them, and trust that they also want to be a good person. That's what I learned through my observations in the literature club. Observations? Monika's caught by surprise. Yuri has always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talk about the club like this. But Yuri gently smiles to herself. You always let me listen to your thoughts about people. Sayori too. And it makes me happy because I can learn a lot of things. That's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you. Monika never thought much of it in the past weeks. Yuri always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concerns of others. Always wanted to listen and learn more about her friends in the club. It's true. Sarah and Monika are naturally more comfortable with other people and can more easily work through the situations of conflict. But that doesn't make them better people. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and the capacity to improve. And the first step towards improving oneself is reflection and self-awareness. Something that Yuri never gave herself enough credit for, but that Monika can recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. I was about to say, no CG? A very shy girl with long pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fist pressed into her collarbone. When she finds the literature club president's classroom, she stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monika is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yeah, as expected, this was a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monika glanced toward the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Before she regained composure and decided for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens. Yuri? What a surprise to see you during lunch! Yuri squeaks a response. Please help me. What? Is everything okay? Yuri shakes her head. I don't know how to write letters. Thank goodness. I thought there was some kind of emergency. Monika briefly glanced over her shoulder at her other friends. Do you want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something. Is that okay? I feel bad taking you away from your friends. It's totally fine, I promise. We weren't really doing anything. One sec. Monika trots back to the classroom, says something like, I gotta go to her friends. Grabs a pen off her desk before returning to Yuri. Okay, let's find somewhere quiet. Yuri nods, follows Monika as two of them set off. How are you today? Huh? Me? Well, yes. Ha! Oh gosh, sorry, I was just caught off guard. I'm doing well today, just tired. Never seem to get enough sleep during the week. How come? Well, I don't know. I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time. Me too. I do that too. Hey, this classroom's empty. Let's go in here. After peering inside, Monika opens the classroom door and the two of them enter. Yuri's moment of relaxation ends. She watches Monika pulls two chairs up to the same desk, then obeys Monika, beckons her to take a seat. She stares down at the empty desk. You nervous? I don't want to do this. We don't have to. We can come up with something else. Yuri shakes her head. It's my chance to do something good. I need to take initiative. Gosh, you must be really determined. I know how hard it is for you to step out of your comfort zone. I'll be sure to encourage you. Yuri pushes through her anxiety and grabs a handful of lined paper from her notebook. Then she picks up her pen. Oh, there's the CG. Hey, you're left-handed. That's neat. Ah, yeah. Now I don't have to worry about bumping your arm. Monika playfully rubs her shoulder against Yuri's. Sorry, I'm just being silly, I guess. Anyway, how about we start by listing the different things you want to say to her. Yuri thinks. Isn't that nice? I feel embarrassed all of a sudden. Oh, it's okay. How about some of the things you said to me yesterday? But, never mind, I guess I'll try. Yuri thinks for a moment longer, her tension evident. Then she writes the word, reflection. This is about my reflection on our behavior. The key question is why we act like this towards each other, but have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monika. That's me! Yes, it is! So, I love the difference of expressions. Happy Monika, sad Yuri. Yuri thinks, I've been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests. The same goes for Natsuki too. We started off pretty hostile to each other because I was so worried about getting what I wanted, but she just wanted to be respected more than anything else. Once I stopped making it all about me, she was able to do the same. I want to do that too. Excuse me. So what kind of things do you want to do for her? I want to do the same things for her that I like to receive. I like it when people respond positively to the things I talk about and not just brush me off. I like it when my feelings are taken seriously. And I like when you and Sayori trust that I want to be a good person, even when I'm not doing a good job at it. Let's write those things down. Okay. Hurry writes some things down. I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki is feeling vulnerable, so we should make sure that the letter puts her first. It's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things that they're doing wrong. I think first you have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them and admit the things that you feel you could do better. Then finally you ask what you would like in return. How does that sound for structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, one for each of those points. I like that. Now we have, not quite sad, but not smiling Monika and smiling Yuri. My thoughts were so disorganized I had no idea how to come up with any kind of structure. You're so amazing at these things. Oh, stop. There's a nice little... You've done so much more than I have, you know? You spend so much time reflecting and being open-minded. That's the hardest thing for anyone to do. All I'm doing is helping you put it on a piece of paper. So I think you're the amazing one. Monika gives Yuri's hand a quick squeeze. But actually, that's because she comes around Yuri's fingers around commercial fingers to hook Monika's hand in place. For a while, they sit like that in silence. They hear the occasional scratching of Yuri's pen against the paper. Yesterday, you told me something that I'm thinking about a lot. What was that? The thing about how feelings aren't right or wrong, and that they're just a state of being we need to come to terms with. It made me think about how a person's behavior isn't always just how they decide to be. It's also made up of their past experiences and their insecurities. I think that helps me see other people as actual people rather than insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow. Is that how you feel about Natsuki? Yuri nods. But in reality, everyone is always trying their best, and everyone wants to be happy. Monika peers at Yuri's paper, but to her surprise, Yuri pulls it in close, partially covered with her arm. I have to be able to read it to help you out, you know. It's okay. My thoughts are a lot more organized now after being able to talk to you about it. Now that I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize I'd really prefer others not to read it. Yuri laughs out to herself with a rare expression. I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually. I somehow keep finding ways to butt into this whole thing. I've done enough damage. But it's also been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I always thought you were really smart, but Yuri smiles. I will always be terrible at these things. People are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one. She's an alien! But listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of some things. So just don't call it damage, please. Monika gives Yuri a gentle smile. I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy geeks and all I got was real friends who value me. Is that a joke? Of course it is. I still can't tell with you. Sorry. No, I love it. Please, never change. As you wish. Well, that was sweet. Get another cavity from the sweetness. Yuri glances at the clock. We're almost out of time. Will you be able to finish? Before the end of the day? Probably. But I don't want to come to the club the same day that Natsuki reads it. I'm too shy. I can give it to her instead if you'd like. Yuri nods. As long as you promise not to read it. Of course, I promise. Thank you. Yuri exhales and the two stand up. I'll message you when it's ready. Monika nods. Good luck. I'm here if you need me. Yuri nods, returns the nod, and the two depart. That was awesome. It was sweet. More mail. More troubles. I like that. I love these extra CGs. Like I love that one. That one's cute. That one's great. Monika. So the final wallpaper will likely be unlocked. One final poem. Still says there are 3 CGs somewhere. Poems, I have to start at the game to get those. You won't see that part. That'll just be me going for completionist. We got the final background. So we have all the backgrounds now. Sketches, we're still missing a few. And promo, we're missing so many. I have no idea how to get the promo images. But let's dive into the mail. What else is happening here? And again, the dates are going in reverse. Ethics. Simply put, it's not our job to arbitrarily decide upon some code of ethics just because we're the first ones to do this, to our knowledge. That's the government's job to figure out, long after we've made enough headway for it to no longer apply to us. It's fundamentally flawed to apply ethical reasoning to this anyway, because humanity's code of ethics is based upon nothing more than our knowledge and understanding of life forms similar to ourselves. Whoops, sorry, I punched my mic. We don't have ethics for killing bacteria or plants, only for the creatures that we can convincingly project our emotions onto. The humans in our VMs operate completely differently from us on a fundamental level, and therefore it should not be taken any more seriously than a machine that's programmed to print, "I feel sad." We are engineers, not philosophers. There's something happening here, and what it is ain't exactly clear. This is gonna... I'm hoping we get some serious explanations as we wrap up the final side story. But that's gonna do it for this episode, so thank you everybody so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!